Oh my god. You're just gonna jump over. You should record this. This is fucking hilarious.
2 hours later.
What are you doing? Don't bite me. Yeah? No.
How much food are we giving her today?
She's eaten 3 times. Are you just gonna drag the humidifier? Oh no, no, no. Don't you dare, Cakey. Oh, thank you, Cakey. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Marcy Plant Ground, and props to you for checking out my channel, where I'm going to be talking about unboxings, care tips, plant decor. My name is Marcella, and Keiki she's like in the mood right now. I started this channel because there were some plants that I just could not find any videos on, or if I did find some, they were very few or in another language. It was basically the rare plants that made me want to start this channel because I just could not find any tips on them. Regardless, I am going to be talking about some more common houseplants as well because I do own some, obviously. In today's video, I'm just going to be talking about my string of pearls or string of peas, known as Senecio rowleyanus. I know it's named after somebody's name, but it's just got like a really funny scientific name in my opinion. This is going to be my first ever in-depth video on a specific plant. I have given some plant tips in the past, but it was more sparse and not so specific to any specific plant. And I did pick this one because it is a plant that I know a lot of people have so much trouble with, especially with the watering aspect of it. I just thought this is the perfect one because obviously a lot of people need help taking care of this one. And I think it's so beautiful. It's like amazing, and it's done so well in my home to where I feel comfortable enough to give you tips. And these tips are going to be what I do for my plant in my home. I'm not a botanist and I'm not an expert. I'm just going to give you the tips that I practice myself for this specific plant. I hope that they help you as well. I do want to mention as well that I do live in South Texas, and I do mean South Texas, like the very bottom tip of Texas. That's where I live. So you can imagine my temperatures are very high almost year round. Honestly, this winter has been pretty warm. I was kind of worried, and I got like humidifiers, and I got my Millsville greenhouse cabinet, which have helped my plants in some sense. But it honestly did not get that cold to where I needed them. I totally freaked out being a first-time plant parent and got them anyway. Yeah, but my plants, they basically, I don't think they even experience winter. I am at sea level, and so yeah, you can imagine it's very hot, very humid, very sunny days most days. Like honestly, this whole winter, barely any like cloudy days. So do take that into consideration when I mention all of my care tips. Maybe the sun shines brighter where you live in a north facing window, whereas in my home, my south facing window right now at this point of year and most of the year gives me the most sunlight. Most of my plants do hang out in this corner of my house. So I'm gonna get started by talking about the light. It is not on my windowsill, but it is pretty close to it on a shelf right in front of my south-facing window. I do have some shears covering up my windows just so that my plants don't get like the direct sunlight. I used to have blinds, and so I would constantly have to be moving them up and down so people can't see inside my home. And with the blinds, I find it easier to just have them open all day long. And then at nighttime, when there's just no more sun, I just close up my actual curtains and nobody can see what I'm up to. So yeah, that was like my solution to just giving my plants the most light possible. This is a plant that is native to the drier parts of Africa, so it does need a lot of light. Oh, and I did forget to mention that the light needs to be hitting the top of the string of pearls. If you have this like hanging like on top of your window and it's getting no light on here, it's going to die, okay? Because this is where it's pushing all of the new growth from. So this part up here needs to get the light. I have heard that they do not like to be near a draft. So if you have it like with your AC hitting it, probably won't like it. Most plants probably won't appreciate being hit with cold or super hot AC. See where you place this plant. It likes a lot of light, doesn't like a drafty place. So that's it for light. I have my plant in front of my south-facing window on a shelf. That's where I'm probably gonna keep this year round. If you hear Keiki in the background, she's having a burst of energy at the moment, obviously.
Going to bed now, Keiki, because you're behaving like a gremlin.
It doesn't seem to be going so well in there. Moving on to fertilizing. When I first started owning plants, I tried to follow these like schedules and regimens, and honestly, I don't do that anymore. I just dilute the fertilizer that I use, and I use the fertilizer that's like, it's called Advanced Gardener or something like that. And I just put the tiniest amount inside of my green watering can over here, and that's just how I do it. That's how I fertilize it, and I fertilize it every time that I water it.
Sponsored.
I wish. So when I got this plant, it came to me in a, I don't know how many inches nursery pot, but it was a plastic nursery pot. This plant is recommended to be switched to a more breathable pot, which is obviously in the terracotta pot or some sort of cement type pot that can be more breathable than plastic. When I switched the pot, this is the only size of terracotta that I had, and I did switch it about 1 inch larger, like around what it was. 1 or 2 inches is fine, but you don't want to be switching this pot into too large of a pot because the root system is so shallow. If you up pot it into a much larger pot, it's going to rot your plant because your soil is just going to be staying wet for long periods of time. This plant does not like to be overwatered at all. As for the soil mix, I do mix my own soil. I have different mixes, right? So if I want to make it more aerated, I do add some perlite, or I could add orchid bark, or humus is also a good option, although it is a little more pricey. And if you do want to make it for a more moisture loving plant, you could add more moss to your mixture as well as perlite, because every plant is going to want a little bit of oxygenated soil. So either way, adding perlite to your regular potting mix is a good idea. I guess I'll jump into the next section, which is pest control. What I have been doing now is actually adding mosquito bits inside of the soil. And I know it says on the packaging that you should put them on top of the soil, and then the water will release. And then the water will release the mosquito bit bacteria, which is Bacillus thuringiensis or something like that.
Thank you, man.
When you leave the mosquito bits on top of the soil, it will get a type of like mold on it. I get my plants because I like how they look. So if they have mold on them, obviously that's not a nice look. It's pretty much an eyesore. What I was doing before was letting those mosquito bits sit in my watering can and just like sit in there for hours or sometimes like days. And honestly, they stink. They stink really bad when you leave them in water like that. It's not like horrendously stinky, but if you do go into your watering can and take a good whiff, it's It's pretty stinky. It's gross. So I stopped doing that. Like I said, I do mix mosquito bits in my soil to get rid of fungus gnats because I feel like that's my biggest pest problem at the moment in my home. They're always everywhere. They're so annoying. It's gross. They're gross. Another thing that I like to do for pest control is adding a little bit of Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew to my actual watering can. And I just give it about like, I don't know, 5-6 sprays to this can. And I know that's probably diluting the solution, but I don't know, I feel like it should still work. I haven't had like really bad pest problems other than fungus gnats and like the occasional mealybugs, so I've been like really lucky. Yeah, I just do that every time I water it. Not even every time, like I do when I remember, but I do fertilize my plants every time I water them. And I do use the weekly method just so that I don't have to keep up with like a certain schedule, and it's been doing really well. Now for the part that I think most people have the most trouble with, watering. How do I water this one? In most cases I would suggest that you use your moisture meter to measure like the amount of water that is in the soil, but I don't do that with this plant specifically. What I do is I look at the very newest growth, so like the tips. If you'll notice, the oldest pearls on top over here, they look a lot duller than the newest tips on the bottom here. The newest tips, at least when they're freshly watered, they're very shiny. And you can definitely see a difference if you grab it and then you put it right next to the oldest pearls on top. And if they look as dull as the oldest pearls on top, then that means that it needs to be watered. It's time to water it. If they look really shiny, give it some more time. And that's a really easy way that I can tell whether my plant needs watering or not, and that's just how I do it. And it's been super happy. It hasn't dried up or rotted. It's a vocal plant, believe it or not. Just I don't think a lot of people know about this little tip. It's one of my favorite plants like ever. In fact, it did make it to my top 10 plants of 2020 if you guys want to check out that video. And this is a plant that does flower during the winter, although mine didn't do it this year, but hopefully by next year it'll be mature enough to flower. I've read that they smell like cinnamon, and like that's so perfect. Cinnamon during the winter, that's just so cute. There's just this long strand. I think I am going to be propagating this plant very soon just so that I can get the tips of the pearls to be like even and just have it like grow down to the floor like it's so cute. I want to draw. I know like there's a lot of pots with string of pearls and faces on the pot, but I want to do that. I want to put like a funny face on my pot because it does look like a hair. But for now, I have this little Totoro figurine in it because it's one of my favorite plants, so I just put him in here and he's just helping everything grow. I think Totoro is like perfect character for plants because if you all saw the movie, he's like the guardian of the forest and he helps plants grow, and it's just the cutest thing. He's definitely helping my plants grow and he looks cute. I think that's it for this video. I don't know if I missed anything else. If I missed anything else, please comment down below. Props to you if you made it to the end of this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. It would really help out my channel. And if you could also leave a comment down below, that would be amazing as well. Or if you want to put a thumbs down, that's fine too. If you have any tips or any recommendations or questions, please let me know, and see you guys in the next one. Bye! Where is my baby Kiki?